Live from our studio audience, it's 5 More Minutes, Mom, with your hosts, Brielle and Guerlain, on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to 5 More Minutes, Mom. I'm
Welcome.
Brielle.
And I'm Guerlain.
At the bottom of the screen is the roller with all of our social media, both for our show as well as Empty the Bench Podcast Network. Give us a like, give us a follow.
Yes, please do everything that must please the algorithm gods so they know that we are worthy of everyone's attention, Just do the damn thing.
Okay, so in today's episode, me and Gerlin are gonna take a trip down memory lane, as we do with every episode, to be quite honest, and talk about deep cuts, talk about those weird, obscure, kind of odd things that we watched as a kid that like you bring up as like, oh, no one's ever seen this, and then sometimes people like there's a TikTok sound that's like, what's something from your childhood that's no one's seen? So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about like all the weird stuff that we watched that wasn't like your general like Disney movie or Cartoon Network show.
Right. And I feel in our time as youth, as if we're like dumb old, um, a lot of networks they took a lot of risk with obscure and uh not very known shows or not very known creators, writers, developers sometimes.
Yeah.
Um it was just an artistic time where like
Yeah.
just do shit at the wall, whatever stuck. If not, becomes obscure and that's today's episode.
Yeah. Okay. So do you want to start or would you like me to start like picking one and we'll talk about it and then we'll talk about another and another and another?
Yeah, let's do a back and forth type of thing.
Okay. So the first one that came to mind for me was um there was this it was like a series of VHSs. It was never on TV. It was only a VHS that you could like buy at the store or whatever. Um, and it was called Tales and Tunes. And it was like kind of like holiday or seasonally based. So
Mm.
it would be like Christmas tales and tunes, spooky tales and tunes, springtime tales and tunes. And it was basically like some adults and some kids and a puppet, because it's got to have a puppet. That's what I love,
Right.
talking about something. So, for example, talking about Christmas, talking about Halloween and the spooky season. And the one that I had was we had Hanukkah tales and tunes because we were Jewish and someone found it. I don't even know how we got this VHS. Somebody bought it for us. I don't even remember.
Mm.
But me and my sister loved this VHS. We would watch it all the time, not even around Hanukkah, because not only was it like, again, one of the only things that had Jewish representation in it for us, but also it was like weirdly like good. Like they were talking about things correctly. Like all the information that they gave about Hanukkah was correct. And it was actually like, you know, not even sugar coated. Like they didn't really sugarcoat a lot of the stuff about Hanukkah. Like they were like, yeah, the Greeks, because that's what Hanukkah. The Greeks were like, oh, we don't want you to pray the way you want, and then that sort of thing. And so that was kind of cool that they didn't like sugarcoat and be like, oh, the Greeks were mean to the Jews or blah blah blah.
Mm.
And it featured original songs and dances and stuff, and it was like the production value was actually pretty good. And it was fun. It was really, really fun, and I always, like, think about that. I feel like no one has ever heard of that VHS, let alone the whole thing.
And so that specific one was called Hanukkah Tunes, but the whole thing was called what again?
So it was a series of VHSs called
Uh,
Tales and Tunes, and they would just slap on a
Tales and
different, like,
Tunes.
holiday at the top. So Christmas, spooky, Hanukkah Tales and Tunes, and I still have the songs in my head. What there was I mean, they sang, like, the dreidel song, and they sang, like, a couple prayers. and it would cut to these like songs with like all these kids, random kids in like very 90s color block outfits,
I see it now. I just Google it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like you can buy the VHSs, like they're not like, but I feel like no one really ever heard of it.
it's all on YouTube apparently.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
My sister and I have watched it. We were
Uh,
like, "Oh my god."
okay, that is obscure. Yeah, never heard of that.
Yeah.
S-
So that's
Uh,
that's one of mine. What about one of yours?
mine, a majority of mine seem to be all based on stuff that other networks pulled from Canada or French for some reason,
Mhm.
or France. Sorry. Um, so my first one is a very obscure Canadian show called Zix. It was on Cartoon Network for a short period of time.
Okay.
It like debuted at the same time as Ben 10,
Mhm.
and it was live action. So it was the premise of the whole thing was uh Zix is an inter I'm reading from the wiki page by the way. Zix Zix is an intergalactic network agent who had crash landed on Earth with her partner Flango. As luck would have it, Earth also happens to be a hotbed of activity for the evil this alien species, I can't pronounce the word, and the another evil empire. So Six has no intention of letting them win. So her and Flango, they need to find a way to access the network and make sure that they can go to the next level of the keep, which was like the main hub of this whole thing. So it was really interesting.
I have never heard of that. That is crazy. I've
It
never
is
ever heard of
super
that show.
super obscure. It originally aired 2004, was on Cartoon Network from 2006 to 2007, and apparently the series ended at 2009 because I didn't know because
Yeah.
Cartoon Network just stopped airing it.
That's crazy. It
Um,
sounds like a weird mix between like Invader Zim, the Power Rangers.
Power Rangers, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, so it was live action,
Okay.
and then the stuff with the keep and everything that was all CGI. That was all 3D.
Interesting.
Very bad 3D for the time,
Yeah,
honestly.
but still, I mean, that's cool.
It was cool, and I was just so hooked onto it for some reason. And being it in Canada, I feel Canadians. I'm not gonna say I feel Canadians. We all everything shares the same actors. I was gonna say I feel like Canadians only have a few select actors, but that's only because um, some actors in Zix they were on Degrassi.
Oh,
It
okay.
was one of those type of
Right,
situations.
right, yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with from Degrassi the character Peter.
I don't know them by name, but if you showed me a picture, I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, that guy." Like, because I've seen a couple episodes. I was never really into Degrassi,
Mm.
but, like, I was aware of it, and I watched a few episodes here and there, so I know the characters.
You know the character that shot Drake.
Yes, yes.
He was
Oh,
in it.
okay.
His name's not Peter though. But I think what was his name? His name was who shot Drake?
I don't Chandra.
Who shot Jimmy? Who shot Jimmy? What was his Rick. His character's name was Rick.
Okay.
Um he's in season 2 and season 3 of Zix, and Peter's in season 1, the
Okay,
character in Peter.
cool.
So yeah, it's just super obscure. Not a lot of people know about it. I recently just found it again on YouTube, and you look into the comments of the videos, and people just like, I thought this was a fever dream. Like this show actually existed. Because when I tell you, Cartoon Network aired it for a good time, like all 2006, majority of 2007, and then just stopped.
Yeah,
So growing up, if you don't have the best memory, you're gonna think like, was that even real? Like,
yeah,
did I just make this whole shit up? But yeah, so that's one for me.
yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I've never heard of that show. That is a deep cut.
Mm. What else you got?
Um, so I don't know if this is necessarily a deep cut because I posted about it on Instagram and other people like knew about it.
Mm.
But I really liked watching those like Disney sing-along videos.
Okay.
And they have them all on YouTube. You can literally type like Disney sing along songs, beach party, or go to the circus or whatever. And they're so like deliciously 90s. They're so 90s. Like everybody's in overalls and like you know? And so I remember watching that one. Specifically the beach party one because they go to Blizzard Beach, and I remember thinking, like, how badly I wanted to go to Blizzard Beach in Disney World. Um, you know, but also even more, I think this isn't necessarily, I think, obscure, but it is weird. So when my sister and I were I think I was, like, 12, so I was a little old for it, but, like a year before that,
Mhm.
um, my family was planning a trip to Disney World, and it was, like, a big trip to Disney World, and we were, like, going kind of all out basically. And when you book and back then in like the, early 2000s, when you booked with Disney with a hotel, they would sometimes send you like an information packet,
Mm.
and in that information packet would be a DVD, and it would basically be like explaining all the amenities that you would have at Disney World at your resort, and it would kind of go over some of the things that you could do in the parks and everything. Me and my sister wore this DVD out. We watched it like every day. And the thing is, it wasn't like a movie. Like there wasn't a story. It was like a host like with a microphone being like, "Oh, you just bought tickets to Disney World. Let's find out what you can do." And it would like literally talk about all the resorts, talk about all the parks. It would like show clips from the rides, like,
Mm.
and the newest ride here is Space Mountain. It wasn't Space Mountain, but Space Mountain. Let's take a ride. And it would like, and we loved this. We loved watching this like informational DVD about
Wow.
Disney.
And that's all it was? It was just that's the
Yeah, it
majority?
was literally just an informational DVD about Disney World. But it was, like, entertaining, it wasn't, like, boring because like, they knew that, like, parents would show their kids this to get them hyped up for the trip.
Mhm.
But me and my sister watched it all the time, and it's so like, I love telling people that because 'cause they're like, "I I think I know what you're talking about." I think I do.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Have you tried, like, finding it on YouTube?
No,
No?
in all honesty, I would be very surprised if someone had it. Because number 1, I don't even know, like I don't even know how many different ones there were. Like, who knows how many they made? It could have been 1 for each year, but, like, I don't even know. I could try looking it up on YouTube to see if I find it, but
That's an interesting one.
yeah, yeah. Technically, it's not like a children's show or a movie.
Right, right.
That's what I watched. Okay, your turn again.
Um, the next one I have is not from Cartoon Network for
Okay,
a shock, for a twist, going out of the norm. But it is another one from not Canada, but France.
okay.
In France, it's called Watch My Chops, but when it came over here to America, they called it Corneal and Bernie. It was on Nickelodeon's sub channel Nicktoons, where like
Okay.
it kind of just so Nicktoons. So for those who don't know, so you had Nickelodeon, which was
Yeah.
like the main channel. Um, I know channels differ from state to state. So I guess in New York, or if you had Optimum Cable, like Nickelodeon was channel 33,
Mhm.
and then you had the extra channels, which was like
Yeah.
in the 120s. So it was always interesting. So the children channels for Optimum, it was always in the 30s. It was
Yep.
like
31 was Disney, 32
uh-huh,
was Cartoon Network, 33 was, Nickelodeon, and then 34 was TV Land.
yes. And then in the 120s, it was the same thing.
Yeah, it was 120 was Discovery Kids, which became
Yeah.
the hub, and then
Mhm.
it was, like, Nicktoons, and then I think it was, like Disney XD, and
Yes.
then it was, like, the
Boomerang.
Noggin or something.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, not Noggin and DN, they share the channel.
Yeah, in the mornings it was Noggin, and then in the late afternoon it would become the End.
Yeah. And then Boomerang was that right? It's
Yeah.
um so on 122 or whatever Nicktoons was, they had Nickelodeon just basically treated it as, oh, like here's a channel we could just dump, different IPs that we didn't properly use or whatever. Like
Yeah.
for instance, My Life as a Teenage Robot,
Oh, that was such a good show.
such a good show,
Such a good show.
poorly mistreated. They
Absolutely.
they had a whole season that they did not air. Like my life, and this is a completely different show, but My Life as a Teenage Robot aired like around 2004, 2005. It had 3 seasons, so the first 2 seasons aired. It went damn near 3 years. Third season was done, completed, everything was done, but they took 3 years to air it, and they aired it on Nicktoons. So if you was a fan of the show, and you just so happened to have Nicktoons, or you didn't, you were like, "What happened to the show?"
Yeah.
And then years later, you were like, "There was a third season. There was a movie.
Yep.
What the fuck?" So, anyways, that's how Nickelodeon treated Nicktoons. It was just like, here, like, let's throw SpongeBob on there so they know it's somewhat important.
Yeah.
And but like, yeah. So Cornelia and Bernie was on was on that channel block. Um, Basically, Cornel is a dog. He's a talking dog. It's a
Okay.
secret that is a cartoon. It's a secret. Bernie knows because Bernie is his dog sitter for these like rich people. Like Cornel is spoiled. He has like very rich owners,
Right.
and they live in an apartment complex. Bernie lives in the same apartment complex, obviously not in the nicest suite,
Yeah.
but they needed a dog sitter. They hired Bernie. Bernie overhears Cornel talking. He was like, "What the fuck? You can." It's the whole theme song. What I'm explaining to you right now is explaining the entire theme song.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like Cornel and Bernie, and then Cornel. I am a dog that could talk. I could write, read, and then da da da. And then Bernie calling, Cornel, you could talk. I could do much more, Bernie, but keep to yourself. If you want to let the cat out the bag, you'll be a celebrity. If you want to live a quiet life, your secret has to stay with you and me. Watch my chops. Shush. It's no joke. You heard himself. He said, watch my chops. They must never hear a word. A talking dog. And then the owners walk in. Bernie crashes. He's like, "Oh, how absurd! Yeah, a talking dog." Like my, my sister and I, we loved the show. It was so dumb, but we loved the shit out of the show.
Yeah.
And it was just basically episodic. They'll get into hijinks.
Yeah.
Sometimes Cornel's secret was threatened of being exposed. It never
Yeah.
is. But yeah, that's my second one.
That's so oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that show before. How funny.
Mm.
That's
I don't know.
crazy.
It's just like America. We had an obsession with a bunch of either Canadian or French.
Yeah, there was a real thing for that.
Yeah,
I guess because it was just cheaper to import than to create new shows,
probably.
you know?
Mm,
Yeah, because it's always kind of interesting when you find out that a show that you liked as a kid was, like, actually Canadian. You're like, "Oh, I had no idea."
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. You know what I'm remembering now? Do you remember on Disney Channel? I know
Mm,
you weren't really a Disney Channel kid, but do you remember on Disney Channel in, like, the 2000s, like, around the Sweet Life of Zack& Cody, Hannah Montana time,
yes.
there was a series of shorts that were, like I think it was called, like, no, it wasn't called Saved by the Bell because that would have been copyright infringement, but it was called, like, By the Bell.
As the bell rings.
Yeah, As the Bell Rings, and it was, like, these, like, 5-minute, not even sketches of these kids, like, just sit, like, in this one area of a school, like, talking about crazy stuff that, like, happened earlier, it's gonna happen
Yep.
later. I
Mhm.
loved those.
That's I think that's where Demi actually debuted
Oh,
on
maybe,
Disney Channel.
yeah.
Demi Lovato.
I
Yeah.
remember those very distinctly, that, like, those, like, little like, shorts that would be in between episodes. I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
yeah."
It was so random, but
It was.
my sister and I, we were invested in that shit. Every time it came
Yeah,
on, I was
we
like, "Oh,
cared
like
about
what's
these
next?"
characters, we only saw
We
them for, like,
did.
5 minutes.
It was interesting.
Yeah. I'm trying to think
Disney. No, go ahead.
I'm trying to think of, like, other shows that I watched that were, like, really obscure, but I can't like, I feel like they're not really obscure, though. Like, like, were you a PBS kid? Did you watch PBS shows?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember Liberty's Kids?
Liberties. No.
Liberty oh, yeah, oh, I loved Liberty's Kids. So Liberty's Kids was a show on PBS, it was animated, and it was
Mhm.
about these kids who basically, like, go back in time to, like, the American Revolution-esque time period and,
Mhm.
like, learn about history. It's just a history show for kids, and they would learn about history, and they would, like, interact with, like, the founding fathers and the various people from that time period, and it was very good.
I've never heard of the
You've
show.
never heard of Liberty's Kids? Oh, yeah,
No.
it was really good. It was, like it was fun. It was, like, obviously educational, but it was, like, really fun. It was a good show, and, like, there were, like, moments where it got, like, very dramatic and kind of like, "Oh, no," because, like, America was forming, and so there was danger, and, like, that was a good show. Yeah. I remember Liberty's Kids. I liked Liberty's Kids.
Okay. I remember PBS being like just uh, it was a struggle channel for some of us because that's all the I say struggle because if you didn't have cable, like the good
Yeah.
cable, PBS being public, right? Public
Public
broadcast.
television, yeah.
Yeah. That's all you had. So from if and I say this specifically because I have a memory because like we had cable, but uh when my parents weren't home, like after school, they didn't like my sister and I being in the house by ourselves. So we had tenants downstairs that are renting out the basement. So we had to stay with them and they didn't have cable. So all they had was PBS that we could watch as children.
Yeah.
So I remember from like 3 to 5, it was Arthur, Cyber Chase,
Yep.
Dragon Tales, um, Clifford the Big Red Dog, and then after 5, it was nothing. We were we were suffering.
Yeah, because after 5, it would go to, like, the regular adult,
Yeah,
broadcast.
uh,
I'm
terrible
surprised you
times.
never saw Liberty's Kids then, because that was on PBS at
Nah,
that time.
never heard of it.
Yeah, no, I like that show. Because Yeah, it was good, it was cool. I don't
Uh,
really like it's funny because I don't really remember anything specific, but I remember watching it, and I remember really liking it.
do you remember what was it called? WLIW?
Yeah, Channel 21 in New York.
Yes.
That was another it wasn't public asset, bleh. It was another publicly funded broadcast channel, so it was
Mhm.
like PBS.
So they had a show on there. So here's my other obscure show. They
Okay.
had a show on there called Theodore Tugboat. Ring any bells?
It is!
You remember? You know Theodore Tugboat? Okay.
Yes, I do remember the tugboats.
No, now Theodore Tugboat, not the tugs, because
No,
like
no,
that
I
could
I
get.
know that, but I'm, like, remembering in my brain now.
So those who don't know, it's basically Thomas the
Yes.
train engine, but they're tugboats.
Yes, 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 yes.
Another Canadian show that was imported over here.
Yeah.
Um, and it was watching it back. It is very dull.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
very
Thomas the
dull.
Tank Engine is so fucking boring. Like, one
Yeah,
of my cousins was into it, and, so I would like, when I would babysit him, we'd watch it, and it's just so slow moving. It's so slow moving and, like, it's so boring.
but I tell you, I wasn't into Thomas, but for some reason, I fucking love Theodore.
Yeah,
E even some episodes now, like, I watch it, I'm like, "Wow, this is very, like, drag," but I can't stop watching it, like,
yeah,
today. Like, it's still I don't know, it's just something endearing about it.
yeah,
Um, and there's not much to say about Theodore Tugboat, they're tugs, live day-to-day life. Theodore is the main character,
yeah,
he's a smaller tug compared to all the bigger tugs,
yeah.
you know? There's again, the fucking theme song. He's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
the
I was
theme
just into
songs
the
were
show.
always really good.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that I definitely remember about children's shows when we were kids, like, the theme songs slapped. They
Yeah.
were great.
Like Cyber Chase theme song was like,
Oh, man, that's a bop. Cyber
mm,
Chase, we're moving, we're
mm,
meeting Hacker at his game, and it was, like,
uh-huh.
electric, like
Um, Arthur also had every
yeah,
day when you walking across the street.
everybody well, who
Uh,
sang that? That was, Ziggy Marley, who's no, not Ziggy Marley. Who sang the Arthur theme song?
Oh, I have no idea.
Our
It was
producer will
reggae.
tell us in a second. Who sang the Arthur theme song? I thought it was somebody cool. Was it Bob Marley?
Oh, I doubt it. Wasn't he dead by then?
I don't
I'm
know.
like,
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, they were all great. It was Christopher Cross. Oh, Christopher Cross? Really?
Who
Christopher
that?
Cross sang the Arthur theme song? That's cool. He was a, a very well-known musician, so
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, so that's yeah.
I got more. Like, if do you got any more?
I'm trying to think. I just had one in my brain and it went away.
Mhm.
What was it? I just had one in my brain and it went away. So you talk about yours. I'll remember in a second. I'll interrupt you.
This one isn't typically obscure. Like, it is semi known, but I still, uh, those who do know about it, I'm still shocked that
Mhm.
Kolyoko.
I loved Code Lyoko. I loved Code Lyoko. I was actually okay, that was one of the ones I wanted to bring up actually, because
Okay.
I feel like it was such like a fever dream, like you said. Like this show was so weird how it went
Mhm.
from animation to like computer generated animation. It was very bad CGI.
It got better over the seasons.
Yeah, I've
It
heard
got
that.
better. And another France imported cartoon.
Oh, really? Was
Yeah.
it?
Hmm.
Oh, I would
Is
have
it?
thought it was like Asian, like Chinese or Japanese or something because of
Mm,
the
it was France, French anime.
Oh,
Well, the
interesting.
French interpretation of anime. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, but I do remember that show. I could not tell you what it was about. I know
Oh,
that they went into a computer program, but that was it.
I can tell you all about Kolyoko. When I was invested. Kolyoko and Ben 10 were the first shows where I was actually an active participant of a fandom
Okay.
before the whole fandom shit. It was Kolyoko and Ben 10. I
Mhm.
remember this shit vividly. I remember going on the blogs when that shit started, going on the main websites. Um, it's a bit of a side tangent, and I should have mentioned this when we did the whole episode of uh like I was not sexual, but attraction to cartoons or whatever the fuck, like
Yeah,
that
that whole
open
episode,
our like
yeah.
sexual awakening. There was an episode of Ben 10 where they were in the future, and so the main character Ben, he has a cousin named Gwen, so they were aged up. It was a future episode of like Ben and his son Ken.
Mhm.
They
Okay,
showed future. They showed future Gwen, and when I told you, like my mouth hit the floor, like, and she wasn't dressed sexually or anything. It was just like they just made her like it was the pants. It was it was the pants. Like they just made her look thick, bro. And I remember just touching. I was like, God damn. And I remember going on so how old was I? Like maybe like 8, 9, whatever. I remember going on one of these Ben 10s on forums, being like, Future Gwen is hot. Like flat out. Like this 8-year-old. Future Gwen is so hot, dude. Blah 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 yada yada.
Yeah.
I don't know how old the other participants were, but they were just like, I okay, like that's, like, that's cool. Like I guess, like yeah, sure, dude. But man, but yeah. So Kolyoko, real quick, Kolyoko, 4 kids, 5 kids actually. It was Jeremy, Yumi, Ulrich, Odd, Aelita.
Mhm.
Aelita is in the supercomputer. She wasn't born there, but they think that she was born there at first. Jeremy activates the supercomputer, looking for like gadgets and stuff, not knowing that the supercomputer held an evil virus called Xana, who wants to
Mhm.
take over the world.
Okay.
Obviously, the typical. He finds Aelita in it, thinking that she's also a computer program. We come to find out that no, she's not a computer program. She's a girl that got stuck in the supercomputer because the supercomputer was made by her dad, Franz Hopper, who was wanted by the Men in Black, who because he worked on some like secret agent, military project thing, and like he stole the files or something like that. They wanted him. He was a wanted man by the Men in Black, by the FBI in France, I guess. So he take his daughter. He created a supercomputer. He created Lyoko, this virtual world. He created Xana to be the guardian of the world. Xana became self-aware because obviously AI. Um, they go to Lyoko. Xana keeps him prisoner. France shuts down the supercomputer from inside, and begs Aelita not to forget him because you shut down the computer, like your memories could get wiped. Years go by. Jeremy finally activates it, finds Aelita. Yumi, Odd, and Ulrich gets involved too, and the whole thing is just trying to fight Xana. The first season is them fighting Xana, trying to get Aelita out of the computer. Second season, they got Aelita out, but they think that Xana installed some type of virus into Aelita because every time they shut down the supercomputer to kill Xana, Aelita dies too. So there's like, okay, we gotta
Okay.
find an antivirus for Aelita. Season 3 is not an antivirus. What actually was her. She was missing her fragment, a fragment that actually completed her as a human. So they find the fragment. They find Franz Hopper. He was a prisoner of Xana. They find him. Um, they try to get the fragment. It was a trap. Xana comes in, takes another piece of Aelita. Aelita has the keys to Lyoko, so Xana could get out the supercomputer and go to the World Wide Web. So he's no longer trapped by the supercomputer. So if you close, this is crazy. If you close the supercomputer, Xana no longer dies. So he takes the keys of Aelita. He takes the keys of Lyoko from Aelita, which kills her. Franz Hopper comes in, sacrifices himself for his daughter, revives her, gives her everything. So now, like, she's whole, but Xana's out. So, they had to take care of that. So season 4, Xana, they're fighting Xana on the internet. A 6th character comes in named William. He comes in season 3, actually. No, season 2. And he gets captured by Xana in season 3 and destroys Lyoko. Destroys Lyoko completely because Xana wants Lyoko dead, so they can't fight him anymore. And they lose Franz Hopper. Franz Hopper falls into the World Wide Web. Season 4, Franz Hopper is actually alive. They recreate Lyoko. William is now a prisoner of Xana and his pawn, basically. And now they're trying to save William because now William is a prisoner of Xana. So they're trying to like fight Xana, blah blah blah. They come up with an antivirus to kill Xana. They launch the antivirus. Franz Hopper dies for real this time.
Okay.
Because he sacrificed himself to give power to the antivirus to kill Xana. William is freed. All is safe. But now Aelita, wanting to see her father after years, loses her father. Sad ending. And that's it. That's Cody. Listen, I fucking love this show, bro.
No, I
love it.
believe you, but I didn't expect you to give me that kind of a synopsis. I thought you were just going to be like, there are these kids and they go into a computer.
No, I love. I'm very passionate about Lyoko. There's some like YouTube videos that does it injustice that they don't dive. I fumbled some details, but I'm trying to
It's
wrap
okay.
it up real fast. But yeah, Kolyoko is an amazing show. First season is rough, but season 2, 3, and 4, yes, it's
Okay,
some good shit.
cool.
Some good shit, yeah.
You ever heard of bananas in pajamas?
No,
That's another
no.
deep cut. Bananas in pajamas. It was a TV show with these people in like giant banana costumes, and they would wear these blue and white striped pajamas, and they just like get into silly situations and sing songs. And oh, Skinamarink. Do you know Skinamarink? Not the
No.
movie that just came out, not the horror movie. It was a TV show. I think it might have been from Canada. Might have been. I don't know. But it was
Yeah, it
basically
says
like,
it was Canadian.
oh, is it
It's,
Canadian?
mhm.
Oh, Canada. And it was like these 3 adults and like a couple people in like fursuits, and they would like, sing and do funny, and there would be like funny situations, and they'd, and they at the end of every episode, they'd go, Skinamarink-y dinky dink, Skinamarink-y doo. I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. Something there were like hand movements. I love you in the evening underneath the moon. And then yeah.
That sounds very familiar. Like
Yeah.
that.
I mean the song
That's
has
right.
been around for years. It's a
Oh,
children's song. So
okay.
but yeah, that was a show that I remember watching and loving a lot. Cause yeah, if it had puppets, if it had people in costumes, like animal costumes, like fursuits, I was always really into it.
Puppets
Yeah,
and
I
all
don't
that.
I
I
don't
get it. No,
know.
I get it. I get it.
All right. Anything else, or you think we're done?
Uh, the last one I was gonna mention was Kablam.
Oh, I know Kablam. Kablam, I don't think is a deep cut.
I mean, you'd be surprised. Like, apparently, like to Nickelodeon don't necessarily exist. I swear, like a lot of these networks and these companies, they treat their IPs so poorly. Like, just give it back to the
Yeah,
creator at this point, you know?
yeah,
Because like even when Nickelodeon did the whole it was either like the 20th anniversary of celebrating the network and its original series.
Yeah.
When they posted it on YouTube, like they were posting the theme songs and like, oh, this was original series number 10, original series number 12. When they posted Kablam, I kid you not, everyone in the comments, holy shit, Nickelodeon remembers Kablam. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Like, you would have thought like they would have,
Yeah. It was a
But-
weird show. I remember that.
It was a weird show. But again, like it was like a lot of these shows, they were so not ambitious, but risk taking.
Yeah, they were allowed to be weird.
Yeah,
You know, they were allowed to be weird and silly and kind of gross and you know, they were given that freedom that I think a lot of modern shows don't get.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I guess I'm going on for
We
a
could
bit.
sit here for hours. I mean, honestly, speaking, like, do you remember this show? Do you remember this show? Okay, so at the bottom of the screen, we'll put the roller. Please like, comment, and subscribe on our various social media channels. Let us know what kind of show that you always talk about and no one ever knows what you're talking about. Like, give us your weirdest show or movie that you remember watching as a kid. Like, maybe we've seen it too. Yeah, so we will, I guess, see you next week.
Yeah, this was a long one. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay.
Hope you enjoyed and are just as passionate about a deep cut too. So
Yeah. All right. Bye,
All right.
guys.
bye.